The night carried an unusual stillness, the kind that whispers that something is about to change. In a quiet African village surrounded by restless hills, a woman named Amma sat outside her home, staring at the moon as though it could answer the questions her heart had held for years. It had been 3 long years since Kato, the man she loved, vanished without a word. Some said he ran away. Others believed he had died far from home. But Amma never stopped believing he would return. Every evening she sat on the same wooden bench, listening to the same wind, praying for the same footsteps she used to know by heart. That night felt heavier than usual. Even the stars seemed to hide behind the clouds. Amma's younger brother, Juma, came outside holding a lantern. "Sister, it's late." "You should sleep," he said softly. Amma only smiled faintly. "I'll sleep when my heart stops waiting," she whispered. When dawn broke, the sky turned gold over the red soil, and Amma began her daily chores with quiet rhythm. She fetched water, fed the chickens, and swept the compound. But deep inside, her spirit trembled, as if the day had been waiting for something too. By mid-morning, a sound came from the road. Slow, heavy footsteps. Amma's broom froze mid-air. Her heart began to pound in her chest. She turned slowly, and there he was, Kato. For a moment, the world fell silent. He stood there in the sunlight, calm but distant, as though time itself had changed him. Amma wanted to run to him, but her feet refused to move. The Kato she remembered carried laughter in his voice. This Kato carried silence. He spoke first. "Amma." His voice broke the air like a forgotten song. Amma's lips trembled. "Is it really you?" she asked. He nodded. "It's me." Tears filled her eyes before she could stop them. She wanted to ask 1,000 questions, where he had been, why he never wrote, what happened to the man she used to know. But something in his expression made her stop. His eyes were darker now, not from anger, but from something deeper, something broken. Juma ran from inside, shouting, "Sister, is that?" He stopped mid-sentence, staring at Kato. Even he could sense something was off. Amma invited him in. Kato stepped into the house quietly, scanning the walls like a man visiting a place that once belonged to someone else. He sat down slowly, as if the weight of his own memories pressed him into the chair. Finally, Amma spoke. "Where have you been all these years?" Kato looked at her for a long time before answering, "Far from home. In a place where names mean nothing and promises are broken every day." She frowned. "You could have sent a word." "You left without a trace, Kato." His jaw tightened. Sometimes silence is the only way to survive. Amma didn't understand. How could the man who once dreamed of building a life with her now speak in riddles? Later that evening, the sun dipped behind the hills and the air turned cool. Villagers began to whisper that Kato had returned. Some called it a miracle. Others called it bad luck. But Amma didn't care about the rumors. She only cared about the emptiness between them. When night fell, she found him sitting alone outside, staring into the darkness. The glow of the lantern cast soft shadows on the ground. "You haven't eaten," she said quietly. "I'm not hungry," he replied without looking up. Amma stepped closer. "You've changed, Kato." He smiled faintly, though there was no joy in it. "The world changed me. Did it make you forget who you are?" she asked. He turned his head slowly. "No, it made me remember who I can't be anymore." Amma's heart clenched. She had imagined this reunion 1,000 times. The embrace, the laughter, the forgiveness. But now that it was real, it felt like a dream she couldn't wake from. "Kato," she whispered, "are you in some kind of trouble?" He hesitated, then said, "Trouble follows men who have walked too far into darkness." The way he said it sent chills down her spine. Hay sat in silence for a long while until the sound of drums echoed faintly from the distance. The rhythm of the village celebrating something she couldn't feel. Kato stared toward the horizon. "There are things you don't know, Amma. Things that would break your heart if I told you. Then let me help carry them," she pleaded. He shook his head. "No one can carry what I've seen." That night, Amma couldn't sleep. She watched Kato from the doorway as he sat under the stars, lost in thought. His posture was steady, but his spirit seemed shattered, like someone who had left a part of himself behind somewhere far away. In the early hours of the morning, she heard him whisper softly to himself, "They will come." Her eyes widened. "Who will come?" she asked, stepping into the dim light. He turned toward her slowly. "The men I walked away from. The ones who don't forgive." Amma's heart began to race. Why are they after you? Kato's voice was calm but full of regret. Because I know something they fear. She stared at him in disbelief. You've been gone for years, Cato. Why return now if it puts you in danger? He looked at her, his eyes glistening. Because I needed to see you one last time to make sure you were safe. Amma shook her head in tears. Don't talk like that, you just came back. But Cato only smiled sadly. Amma. Sometimes coming back is the most dangerous thing a man can do. Before dawn he stood by the door, watching the horizon again. If anything happens, he said softly, don't open the letter I left under your pillow until the sun rises. Her voice trembled. Cato, please, don't disappear again. He placed a gentle hand on the doorframe and whispered, I wish I could promise that. As the first light of morning spread across the land, Cato stepped outside and disappeared into the misty road, leaving behind silence and a letter that could change everything. Amma stood frozen, the letter burning in her hand like a secret she wasn't ready to know. And deep down she knew, the man who returned was not the same one she had lost. Something in him had changed, and soon the truth would follow. When the morning sun finally crept into Amma's room, its light fell directly on the folded letter beneath her pillow, the one Cato had left behind. For a long moment she stared at it without breathing. Her fingers trembled as she reached for it, but her heart screamed, don't open it. Still, curiosity and fear battled within her until her hands gave in. The seal cracked open quietly, like the breaking of a promise. Inside, Cato's handwriting trembled across the page. Amma, if you are reading this, it means I have gone where silence has no return. There are men I once trusted, men who built their power on blood and secrets. I was one of them. But I walked away, and now they want to erase me, and everything I ever cared for. Do not look for me. Do not ask questions. Just remember that every lie I told was to keep you alive. Amma's breath caught. The paper shook in her hands. Tears blurred the words, but the meaning cut through like a knife. She stumbled back, pressing the letter to her chest. Outside, the village was waking up, unaware that danger was crawling closer with every heartbeat. Hours later, as the sun reached its height, Juma came running into the house. Sister, there are strangers asking about Cato. Amma's eyes widened. Strangers? Yes, Juma panted. 3 men. They came on motorbikes. They said Cato owed them something important. Amma felt her legs weaken. She hid the letter quickly and stepped outside. At the edge of the road stood 3 tall men in dark shirts, their expressions hard and cold. One of them spoke with a deep voice. We heard he returned here. Amma kept her voice steady. He's not here. The man tilted his head, studying her. If he's not here, why does your voice tremble? Juma stepped forward, his fists clenched. Leave my sister alone. The men laughed, a sound without humor. Brave boy, one of them said. But bravery doesn't stop bullets. Amma grabbed her brother's hand and pulled him back inside, shutting the door. Her heart pounded in her ears. They found him. They'll find me too. That night, rain began to fall, soft at first, then hard enough to drown out the whispers of fear. Amma sat by the dim lantern, rereading Cato's letter over and over. Every line carried a shadow. Blood and secrets. Men who built their power on lies. She began to understand that Cato's silence was never betrayal. It was protection. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. 3 slow knocks. Amma froze. Juma whispered, Don't open it. The knocks came again, louder this time. She gathered her courage, moved to the window, and peered outside. The rain blurred everything, but she saw him. Cato. Soaked, shivering, eyes wild. She threw open the door. Cato. He stumbled in, breathing hard. They're close, he said. I tried to lose them, but they're watching the village. Amma grabbed his arm. You can't stay here. I didn't come to stay, he said softly. I came to end it. He handed her a small black notebook, weathered, old, and covered in mud. This is what they want, he said. Proof of what they did, their names, their deals, everything. Amma stared at it. Then burn it. I can't, Cato replied. If I destroy it, the truth dies with me. But if I give it to the wrong hands, more people will die. Outside, thunder rumbled like an approaching army. Juma whispered, They're out there. And indeed, faint lights glowed through the rain. Motorbikes parked at the far edge of the path. Cato turned to Amma. Take this notebook. If anything happens, give it to the elder at the river crossing. He'll know what to do. Amma shook her head violently. No, I'm not letting you face them alone. He said firmly, this is my debt to pay. I brought this curse home. I won't let it touch you. The pounding on the door began again, harder this time. Kato! A voice shouted. We know you're inside, you can't run forever. Juma grabbed a stick, his hands shaking. Amma held the notebook tight against her chest. Kato closed his eyes briefly, as though saying goodbye to a memory. Then, without a word, he stepped toward the door and opened it. Rain poured in and the men stood there, faces hard, eyes burning. One of them sneered. You should have stayed gone. Kato met his gaze calmly. Maybe, but I couldn't leave my truth buried with your lies. The man laughed coldly. You think anyone will believe you? They don't have to, Kato replied. Amma already does. Before anyone could move, a flash of light tore through the sky, lightning striking the ground nearby, shaking the air. In that chaos, Kato pushed one man aside, shouting, Run, Amma! Ame grabbed Juma's hand, sprinting into the rain, clutching the notebook like it was life itself. Behind her she heard shouts, scuffling, and then silence. She turned once through the sheets of rain and saw Kato standing tall, facing the men, unarmed, but unbroken. Then the darkness swallowed him. By dawn, the rain had stopped. Smoke rose faintly from the far fields. Amma walked back, heart heavy, feet trembling. The house stood silent. No Kato, no strangers. Only the empty sound of dripping water. On the table, where his letter once lay, there was now only his pendant, a small wooden charm carved with a single word. Truth. Weeks passed. Amma carried the notebook to the river crossing and handed it to the elder, just as Kato had said. The man nodded solemnly. He gave his life for this. The world will know. Amma looked at the rising sun and whispered, He didn't come back to stay. He came back to set things right. Her eyes filled with tears, but this time they carried peace. Because sometimes love isn't about holding on. It's about letting someone go knowing they return just to protect you one last time. The village would never forget his name. Nor would Amma ever forget the man who walked through darkness just to bring her back the light. If this story touched your heart, share it. Tell us in the comments, do you believe people can truly change after walking through darkness? Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful African stories of love, truth, and redemption.